Material desires, something I'd like to talk about because anybody new won't know, but anybody who has followed my social network appearances on Facebook or on YouTube or on my websites, my blogs, or read my ebooks will know that I used to be a Buddhist forest monk. Lived in a cave and practiced meditation, and spent years as a lursi and learned sakyan and, well, vipassana and meditation, and actually came to a point where I developed not a very strong mind, but what you call in vipassana on, which means the beginning of the vipassana jhana, but you only have a little bit of wisdom, not very much, and you have maybe the first or the second jhana, zen, meaning the state of absorption, of losing yourself, forgetting yourself, and becoming in your one-pointed and then non-pointed absorption, foreverness, the emptiness of everything, and then you traverse that to see the fullness of everything, both truths which are contrary but both true. The Buddha did that as you go through your insights in dhyana, and there are 4 dhyana in academic splitting up of things. There's actually just one tunnel that you go down and you go deeper, but if you draw 4 lines you say there are 4 jhana. The 4th, you forget the sense of self and otherness, and so you become one with everything. In modern spiritual talk, or scientific talk even, you see you don't just see the interconnectedness of everything as a separate self, like you can understanding this speech. I might talk about the ripple effect and how everything is interconnected and explain it scientifically and spiritually and logically and rhetorically, and you would see it, or you might already see it. Most people do these days, that all is interconnected. Physicists do, everybody agrees on that. And so in dependent origination, as taught by the Buddha, in a physical sense, is true. In the sense of rebirth, as he explained it, well, scientists won't accept that yet. But it's basically the same cause and effect, and dependent origination, and we're all interconnected. So material desires bring suffering. Now, I'd like to bring a personal thing into that. As I said, having been I'm slightly autistic, so I rock when I talk. It helps me to concentrate, and I have ADHD. So I digress. Sorry. Material desires are something that I really, when I became a monk, I gave everything away because I didn't realize I was going to have to disrobe later. So when I disrobed, I had to borrow some money to buy a pair of pants and a shirt with. And that was bad because when the first 10 days or so when you come out, you have to still wear white and keep your sila, which I didn't manage to do actually, but during a monk I did. Then it comes to the point where over the years after, I had a son, I had to work doing my websites, my amulet stores, and not just write sakyan for free and take people to temples for free or a donation, and some people wouldn't donate. Sometimes some people, I'd take them out all day, take them 300 kilometers to get a sakyan, translate for them, bring them back, and I was broke living in Bangkok, living on $200 a month. And I'd say, up to you. And they'd say, 500 baht, which even in those days was like, remember one day a Farang doing that, and his Thai wife, he says, I need a poo, I'll go in, here's 500 baht, and ran off in the hotel, 10 o'clock in the evening. I picked him up 10 in the morning. Anyway, back to material pleasures. Yeah, and his wife gave me another 1,500. She said, I'm sorry, I'm so embarrassed. You've done all that for him. Got him the cheapest taxi, would have cost him triple. Did a translation, told him the meaning of his yant, directed him where he wanted, got him his blessing, got a special conversation translated with the master, and he gives you 500 baht for your time. I started charging people 2,500 after that. I thought, forget the up to you style, because some people are so selfish or stingy, or I don't know, material desires. I'm renting out big bikes in the moment. Somebody asked on the messages yesterday for a Ducati Monster, want to rent it out, how much for so many days. This is an 800cc Ducati super bike, well not a super, but a medium level big bike, yeah, and a luxury bike. It's a Ducati, yeah, and he's asking, do you have body armor and helmets for rent? I said, yeah, got this and this. I said, okay, how much? I said, oh, that's okay, but I need this much deposit or your driving license. He says, oh, I've got 2 weeks more in Thailand. The deposit was 30,000 baht. That's about $800 or something. $900. But you get back. If you crash it, then you have to pay. Sure. So he says, so, oh, I'm 2 weeks in Thailand. I don't have 30,000 baht enough for the deposit, so I'll have to let it go. Doesn't that make you think? You've got 30,000 baht or not enough of that, and you've got 2 weeks more left in Thailand. If that's how bad your financial situation is, why do you want to rent an expensive Ducati and extras as well? I'm not going to rent this bike to him because he's just going to ride off on it and then get on a plane and go and leave it and not pay. And probably take the jacket and the helmet with him. So, material desires, it's also a material desire. So it can make you do sin if you fall to material desire for that which is not yours. And that's one of the worst examples of material desires where it can go wrong. As I grew up out of being the monkhood, I remained a lessee, but had a family, had a wife and a son. And it was difficult. I wouldn't go to the shopping mall with them because Rusi don't go in shopping malls. In the end, I thought, actually, as a monk, it doesn't matter you're Rusi or a monk, but if you're trying to let go and become enlightened, it doesn't matter if you're in the middle of the forest or in the middle of a shopping mall. If you've let go and not attached to whatever is around you, be it the birds and bees or the things in the trees or the things in the windows that people are window shopping and wanting with material desires, that if you don't have that, it doesn't matter if you go with your wife and son. And actually, if you go with them, even though you're not attached, you don't want to go because it's actually one of the last places you don't like it even. There's nothing there that interests you. It's all material crap, all shiny stuff, worth next to nothing, being sold for 100 times more than what it's worth. So I don't really, never liked that, and it didn't go at first. And then I started thinking, no, that's wrong. That's not letting go. True letting go is, doesn't matter if you're going to the shopping mall, the jungle, wherever your body has to go. If it has to go and it's part of the duty of your life, like Arjuna said to Krishna, you know, you're born as a king and a warrior and you have to lead your army. You can't get out of it. So just do it. Doesn't mean your heart's in it, you want to hurt other people, but this is, you were born into this position, you just have to do it. I would have actually said no, you can always decide, I'm not doing it, and walk away, but anyway, that's a different story. So material desires, my own experience was that slowly after leaving the monkhood and deciding to be less of a lessee and more of a family man, and slowly I was always trying to keep from disrobing this while I was talking, while I was eating, while people talking to me, while I had to do my daily business. Remain detached in this, put toe, put, toe, and anything that comes in. It comes in, you're aware of it, but you take no notice of it. You watch it come, you watch it go. If it needs a response, you respond, but don't leave put and toe. Stay with that and just do those necessary automated tasks of communicating with people, getting on the bus and buying a ticket, but don't lose the put and the toe. So you're aware all the time of what you're doing while you're doing it. Which sounds like trying to think two things at the same time, and I suppose it is. I have ADHD. They say that's like having 4 TV channels on at the same time and watching all of them at the same time, which it is a bit. If I watch a movie, I'm actually looking at everything else in the background as well. Yeah. And I notice things. Sometimes I have to pause the movie and then go and investigate and Google things to do with what I've seen in the background with great curiosity. Sometimes it takes me 9 hours to finish a movie because I do 5 one-hour investigations on things I've seen in the background. And I find some very strange things actually, but that's another story for another day, which I may or may ever or never get to tell. May someday or never get to tell. May die with it. So the material possessions and the material desires began to increase as I began to lose the put toe and get lost more and more in the daily activities of quotidian family life. Yeah. And since then, many people know that my son's mother decided to take off to Singapore and take my son with her. But I haven't seen him for a while, but it's okay. That story is another story for another day. And it's a story I don't think his mother wants me to tell, but I'm not sure if I should ever tell it or not. So, but no, I'm not telling it right now, although I wouldn't mind telling it properly and fairly. That was suffering, I'll say that. You wake up and your son's gone, I will say that. You wake up and your son's gone and you don't know where he is and you can't get him back. That's not a material desire, but it's a clinging, and that's one that's hard to let go of. I'll talk about that another day, how to let go of sufferings that are really hard to let go of because they are instinctual in your blood and your DNA, right? But this one's on material desires, so those who know me in the present day and still following will know I'm a bike collector and that I own a lot. I own about 14, not all big bikes. I mean, the smallest one's 155, the next one's 300cc, the next one's 411, and the rest are 800cc to 2,750cc. So they're Ducatis and MV Agusta and Harleys and Royal Enfields and I don't know, lots of bikes. And do a bike rental business because I collected too many. And having them, some of them were bought secondhand, and putting them in safe order and spick and span condition for rental and for personal use. And just to take care of them, because I'm a conservationist, I like to bring everything into new condition. Repair things and stuff and bring them as totally, I can't look at something if it's got something needs doing on it. It has to be perfect. That's how I am. That's autism. That's my personal, it's how I am. You can call it what you want. ADHD, autism is not, it's Ajahn Spencerism, mixed with a bit of perfectionism, a bit of over persistence, and a bit of multiple digression. I'm an autodidact to teach myself. Got 0 in school, I left school at 13, went back from my exams at 15, signed my name and walked out, so I got 0 in everything, an F in everything. I'm a polyglot, I speak 5-6 languages and various dead languages, and I'm well informed on many subjects. Many, too many to list. Can't even remember them all. I know them, but I can't list them. So these bikes bring suffering because there's always something wrong with one of them that you need to sort out and fix. And so, I had a period where I so forgot to stay with my putto that I had as a monk and that I had as not a monk, but somebody walking the path that leads to eventual concentration, which leads to eventual wisdom, which leads to the light of illumination and purity and escape from rebirth in samsara and Buddhahood, arahantship, liberation. I'm just bringing back the putto. And so the putto is really important to stay with. And I've noticed that these bikes have, instead of becoming a source of suffering, they've become a teacher of the suffering that material things bring if you cling to them in the wrong way. But to be honest, they don't bring suffering to me anymore. Because I've got so many bikes. Firstly, I can rent them out, the ones that are in top-notch condition. And the ones I don't want to, I can ride them. And if one of them needs a new gear stick because it's snapped, I've got 3 or 4 or 5 other ones I can choose to ride for the day. I'm so lucky. I'm so very lucky for that. Well, I worked hard and I gave up other things to have that instead. I don't go out, don't drink, don't party, don't this, don't that, don't the other, I eat frugally, so I'll have the bike instead. Depends what you like. Spend your money on what you want, your extra money. Give some away, help some people, help yourself and make yourself happy. So if one's bust, instead of getting freaked out and until it's ready, you got to fix this, we'll fix it when the time's right, and until then I've got this one to ride this one instead. One breaks, doesn't matter, well that's impermanence. Well, you just find a part for it and fix it when I've got enough money to fix it with, and I'll ride this one instead. So I've got material things. I've got 14 motorbikes, I believe, big bikes in my collection. And even when one of them blew up the other day, and it was in smoke. It's a real old school, like a 1920s cafe racer, and it was very simple. And it just started smoking and was blowing up in flames. I had to get off and run away from it and put it out, because it was going to blow up on me. It was really, I wish I could have YouTubed it. It was great. That was one for a clip. Fucking fantastic. Ducking fantastic. I'm not sure if I'll ever get it fixed. I'm trying. It's a custom cafe racer. So, but never mind. I drove it and it blew up on me. That's something I did before I died. If I die, I can't take any of this with me. Anyway, I'm 59 now. So, I have material things, but is it suffering? Material things are suffering. Well, I think it depends. Material things, the Buddha had material things. I didn't seek them, but people came and gave him a deer park to make his ashram and built an ashram for him. There's his things. But he wasn't attached to them. His robes, they were not his robes, they were robes that he was wearing. But he wore the robes, I drive the bike. The point is, there's nothing wrong with material things. What's wrong is the attachment to them. That if you are void of attachment to them, if you can get round the attachment to them, you can have them without suffering. It's not, don't have material things because they'll make you suffer. No, it's learn how to have material things, because everybody does, to lesser or greater extent. Even if it's a spoon, a knife and a fork, that's all you've got. Those are material things, and if the spoon breaks, you suffer. And so, it's not the material things that bring suffering, it's our clinging to them, yeah? that brings suffering. And so, if you call me a materialist now for having collected 14 bikes, I'd ask you, well, if you're a book collector, how many books do you have? Or if you like Nike shoes, how many do you have? Or if you like amulets, how many do you have? Yeah? Because I think everybody kind of collects something. Or if you like cookies, how many different, or potato chips, how many different flavors in your cupboard do you have? Yeah? So, within your expenses. And if you're a multi-billionaire, you'd probably have a Ferrari and a Lamborghini because you couldn't decide which you like, and you like both of them, so you'll just take them both because you can, right? And if one of them needed sending for service, well, you'd drive the other one, wouldn't you? And if that did, then you'd suffer, maybe, or if not, then not. But if you had three, which is even more materialistic, and two of them needed servicing and the other one was still super duper, well, you wouldn't be bothered. Oh, they'll be back in a couple of weeks. I'll drive this one. Gives me a chance to drive this one that I hardly drive usually. Great. So there you go. Materialism and suffering and clinging to it. Where is the suffering? In material things or in the clinging? I'll let you answer that for yourself. So Jan Spencer signing.